Hi, it's Unico-Typical Podcast. If you want to see more episodes of Unico-Typical, just subscribe to this channel. And if you want to be next guest of one upcoming episode, just go on unicotypical.com and fill out form. So now we're going to spin a wheel. Basically, the random amount of USDC will be appears on the screen, and this amount I will send you to your cryptocurrency wallet as a prize. Ready?
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
Spin the wheel. Seems to be.
Yes. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Okay. I'm Nicolas, and I'm from Argentina.
Mm-hmm. And firstly, I wanted to ask you explaining about global migration that was happening with Argentina. Can you explain how it shaped the nowadays population?
Okay. Argentina, as in many other Latin American countries, I would say, and also the US, Canada, Mexico. Latin America is also Mexico. I'm in North America. Has been shaped by European migration that started mainly from the 1870s, 1880s. And it was pretty much a civilization process. It was coined at least in that way. This is completely related to colonialism, racism, and the view that people had back in the day. So, for instance, here there was this image of certain kinds of Europeans being better than others, so they wanted settlers. So they basically started a campaign to bring those people here, the ones that were desirable. Desirable would be like German, English, like anybody from, not anybody from the UK, like the cult people. But then in the end, it was a bit more of a mixture, and most of the people that came here were the ones that were poor farmers or people escaping from different bad situations, for instance. Mainly Italians, Spaniards. Yeah, so it was an interesting mixture. Even Russians, French people, like very different varieties of immigrants. And at some point, almost half the population of Argentina has been mainly comprised by these immigrants.
So, can you reveal most common stereotypes about Argentinians and about Argentina in general? For example, one stereotype that I know that people love tango and dance tango. Everyone knows how to dance tango, and they love eating meat.
Okay, so yes, I have to bring very sad news. Most Argentinians don't know how to dance tango. It's just like something that might appear in the movies. I personally can't dance tango, so I'm sorry for everyone. Anybody that is watching, I can't teach you. And most people, I would say, don't listen to tango nowadays. So yes, that's a bit of a myth. But then, yes, we eat a lot of meat. The meat is very good, and we actually eat a ton of it. I became vegetarian, so I switched from staying away from the stereotype.
But this may be hard for you now.
No, like for me it was a bit like I switched it off, and even though I love meat, I just don't eat it because it doesn't appeal to me. But yes, it's cultural. It's like, why would you be vegetarian? Like there is meat everywhere. So yes, and then we have another that it's more like localized, not so much. It's like from the countries that knows us better, I would say. For instance, or neighboring countries, or Spain, Mexico, there is this image of the Argentinian as being very cocky and like arrogant and self-important. This is mainly from, and then also innerly, like in Argentina, there is like this very stereotype, but for the people from the capital. So there is some truth to it. So yeah, but the only thing I'd say is that it's probably true because we are overrepresented. These people, the people that are like this, are overrepresented when they travel abroad. So, so this is my only defense.
Understand. And can you explain about your life in Buenos Aires, and also explain about economical crisis and how it's affect lives of Argentinians?
So I was born and raised here, and actually my life is a bit is affected by economical crises, and there is a lot of instability here regarding, for instance, currency. There is actually like 50% of inflation. So it means that if you have, I don't know, 100 pesos, 100 pesos, then you will have less if you keep that same bill. Well, for instance, when I was young, I was about 6, we had one of the worst crises. It was 2001. And a lot of people had to emigrate because it was people lost their jobs, and it was very chaotic in general. So I would say like life in Buenos Aires, and particularly in Buenos Aires and Argentina in general, is very much intertwined with these fluctuations. Like if we go back to the stereotypes, I could argue that there is also this positive stereotype that Argentinians are pretty handy when it comes to finding solutions because of how well trained we are to dealing with the unexpected. So yes, crisis actually, you could argue that forged this kind of character. And also, yes, migration difficulties and trying to reborn. And yeah, personally, it affects me in the way that personally you are like planning, but you can't, you don't know what's going to happen the next day. So you could, I mean, if you're an anxious person, it's not the best place. I'll recommend you to go somewhere more stable like Switzerland, but at least you will have fun here.
And talking about lifestyle nowadays, can you tell me what which activity usually young generation do? They do sport, like horse riding, dancing, I don't know, what they do, how they live.
Young people, I mean, this is also something, and I might be Buenos Aires centric here, but Argentinians have a bit of a fame of staying up late. So we have here like the main avenue where the entertainment is, and will be open until, I don't know, 5 a.m. Not now with the pandemic, but generally. And there are places open all night, so it's been like common practice. And also, like for instance, a normal hour of having dinner for most people is like 10 p.m.
So late.
So yes. So there is a lot of nightlife, and for instance, young people that go to clubs. Now with the pandemic, it has been a bit. Things start earlier, but back in the day, in 2019, parties, clubs would start at 2 a.m., for instance. So if you went there to the club at midnight, it was like empty. So yes, this is part of what people do here, like young people. Also sports, and I mean, football is the most well-known sport, and Actually, I think it's what Argentina is mainly famous for. Messi, Maradona, and horse riding. I don't think probably the higher classes are, I think, good at polo and that kind of stuff, but it's not something usual. I don't know anybody that horse rides. And dancing, I would say mainly, I don't know, different styles, but I know some people that dance tango, but it's not something so embedded in the culture. That's mainly like, yes, as I was saying previously, something that you'd come across in films.
So now we will jump to the nature of Argentina. It's my favorite part because it's on my bucket list. Patagonia, and I wanted to see glacier, Perito Moreno.
Okay.
So can you explain about your nature more? Maybe you've been traveled, like having a road trip or something. Can you explain about your nature? Because it's really beautiful in there.
So actually, like in, I don't know how many hours. In about 4 hours, I'll be traveling to Patagonia. So,
in about 4 hours you will travel?
Yes. So it's very nice question. I'm going there. So yes, I'll be traveling until San Martin de los Andes, that is in Neuquén province, and I'll be going down until I think Bariloche with my bicycle. So there is like a sightseeing road. It's called the Seven Lakes Road, and you can enjoy like mountain life, the wildlife. It's like a kind of chilly weather, and we'll be doing, I don't know, 50 kilometers a day and stop from place to place, like going down as south as we can get, and stop at different free camping or camping places, and just roam around and enjoy the lakes. Actually, the cooler temperatures, because here has been getting very hot, and there it's about 25 degrees. So I'm very grateful for that.
So now it's summer in Argentina, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So what about Ushuaia? I know that from Ushuaia is the southest part of the Argentina. This is the only point from where you can get to Antarctica by helicopter or by ship, like expedition ship.
I know that both oceans collide there, Atlantic and Pacific, because Argentina is all Atlantic, Chile is all Pacific. And I was going to go there, but something happened and I had to cancel my trip there. I know some people, I know it's very cold. I think from what I've seen and heard, it's very nice. And to Antarctica, I think it's a bit I mean, I'll be very cold if I go there. So it's not on my bucket list, but if you want to come and arrange an helicopter ride, I can be the fixer. I can take care of it. So I think it must be very interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting, but also dangerous, because I know that the helicopters sometimes fall down there and only one season when you can go, because otherwise it's very wild wind and also water not calm there.
Yes, I've heard about like, I mean, also because there is not so much demand, but you could fly with an airplane over Antarctica. You could do it, but because it's dangerous and not economically doesn't make much sense, airlines don't do it. It has to be like something special. And yes, I mean, they're extreme weather conditions. So because I think if you probably go there, you have to find shelter immediately because of how cold it is.
Yeah, but there is expeditions to there. They wear a special clothes and they have place to live. I think on the ship, they live on the ship.
They're directly on the ships. Yes. Okay. I mean, if anybody wants to invite me, I might be able to join, but it's not on top of my bucket list. Yeah.
Okay, so thinking now, talking about Argentina's people in general, can you name character from the movie or TV serial, or maybe from the history, person from history, and nowadays person who can represent your country the most?
I think probably to some extent Maradona, like Armando Maradona, this famous football player that recently died. It's been a bit of a myth, and represented like coming from a complicated background and reaching to the top, being arguably the best football player of all time. And on the same note, nowadays, I think if you ask anybody, I mean, when I have traveled abroad, people come to me and be like, "Oh, Argentina, Messi." And it's mainly Messi, Maradona, and yes, I think those two.
And talking in general about Argentinians, are you family-oriented country? Like you really appreciate your family and you always together, like keep close, or you more individual and everyone like separately when they grow up?
No, it's completely family-oriented. There might be a bit of a switch with younger generations, but it's I mean, if you compare it to other countries, it's a completely different picture. That I wouldn't say it's that much traditional. It's more like family is important. You reunite with them, to see them, like most people behave in that way. This thing of being family-oriented is also related to how warm the people normally are. Like people are usually very friendly, or they will talk to you on the street, which is something that surprises some people from abroad. Doing some things that for me were normal. For instance, people here, okay, now with the pandemic, it's a bit different. But back in the day, when I was young, people used to say hello to each other with a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah.
Even between men. So that in some other countries would be like, what the fuck is wrong?
Kiss on the cheek, even for the person who you met first time.
Yes. So for instance, if I, like for instance, I get to, I don't know, let's put a hypothetical scenario. I'm going to, I don't know, the US or some let's say Sweden. Like a lot of distance between people. And I go to my first time work in Sweden, and I know nothing about them. I might go and just like kiss on the cheek at somebody that I just met, and that's fine. But there will be like very inappropriate. So yes, that's how close people are.
And in general, how can you describe Argentinian woman and the Argentinian man in few words? How can you describe what character are they?
That's a tricky question.
I know it's all personal, it's all about personality, but still in general, you have something common.
I don't know. I can just like name a few characteristics that, you know, women here tend to have long hair. I'm not sure if there's like something particularly linked towards appearance or being like overdressed. I wouldn't say it's like a characteristic. Then there is this stereotype that Argentinian women are like hard to get or something like this. I think that that's more of a stereotype, as it is with everything. Yeah, it also depends on which circles you move. I don't know, it won't be the same if you are a very traditional person in a very religious group, or if you are like somebody that's completely the opposite of that. So, but yes, that's what I would say. And there is also this stereotype in many other Latin American countries that men can be like flirty. This is a installed stereotype. Men are like flirty and they talk to women on the streets and blah blah blah, and being like very. I don't think that this. Yes, I'll say. In my experience, Argentinians aren't as pushy as in some. I mean, we are probably way pushier than in other countries because.
What mean pushy?
Pushy, like maybe pushing things forward too much, like being like or direct when it comes to flirting. But I think that these kind of roles are probably changing with feminism and some other things in culture.
And what can you name and highlight positive and negative sides of dating a person from your country for someone who wanted to date? Or for someone to get understand more what difficulties would be and what benefits?
The benefits is that generally speaking, I think people here are quite open about how they're feeling. It might be different in the other countries, at least from I'm talking from experience and just prejudice. I think the negative side will be probably, as we were talking before, like this link with family. Don't know if you're in a cross-country relationship, maybe the family responsibilities or what you're expected to do it might come across as very heavy if you're not used to it. And also people here tend to have like the same group of friends that they had in high school, so or even primary school. So yes, I think that's something like to be very rooted in certain kinds of bonds that are not easily dissolvable.
So our last question is places to visit in Argentina. Can you name top places in your opinion that travelers should to visit, and also what you should to always remember while you're traveling?
Well, so we have many places. On my list, actually, Ushuaia is kind of first because I've never been there. So Patagonia in general, I think it's very interesting. It's something maybe, yes, I think people know what Patagonia looks like. As we said earlier, like Perito Moreno, El Chaltén, Bariloche, San Martín de los Andes, all of we have like this route, Route 40, and it goes all around there. That's something interesting, like of sightseeing and stuff. Then you also have Mendoza, which has very different, it's a province and you have very different places where they make wine. And there is like very high quality wine. So if you come here and if you come here and you like wine and you have like a normal international salary, you'll be very happy because you can have great wines for $5 and you will be getting like very, very good wine. And especially in Mendoza, when you could do like tours of all of the wine places. It also has the Andes Mountains to the west, and also going up north, also in the Andes Mountains, You have Jujuy, Salta, which have very interesting places. Quebrada de Humahuaca, Salinas. Salinas are like places with a lot of salt. And also you could there have a bit of a look to, also in the south, to Aborigines populations that used to live here, with caves or, yes, the mountains landscape. I really like the north, but it's if you want to go to the north, I recommend that you go in wintertime. Same thing for Cataratas del Iguazú, the waterfalls. It's beautiful. You have a place called an attraction called the Throat of the Devil, and it's just amazing. And then, okay, Buenos Aires, the capital. If you're interested in culture, I think it's the best place to come, hands down. I might be forgetting about something, but I think that's pretty much, the most interesting things those five. You could also do a lot of ski in the south, ski resorts and stuff like that. But
so now it's time to the story time. Basically, you will tell me any story from your life, and the only one rule: story should be real.
Okay, I was in high school, and there was like a very nice teacher that I'm very fond of. And he started doing, he invited us to a project that was to construct water rockets. So you have like bottles and you will make them aerodynamic. You will put water and they will fly. So it was like, okay, we are not, it wasn't normally in school hours. So we'll just sneak there and have free time. Then we started like getting a feel of it and liking it, and we started working hard. So we went to some competitions. We didn't do particularly well, but also not particularly bad. And then we had one competition that was from the equivalent of NASA here, CONAE. And the first prize was a trip to like to Córdoba, where there is like the headquarters of this place, and they have like satellites and stuff, also like big antennas and different kinds of spatial things. And we were like, okay, our teacher was very determined for us to win it, and we won this competition. We won a trip to Córdoba. We were about 16, 17. So we got this. We had like free accommodation, free food, free travel, everything paid. And if we go to it, we had to take like a long bus ride because distances here are very long. So we had like a 10-hour trip. We get to this bus, and it was like very spacious and comfortable bus. And okay, we do this, and we're very happy with it. It was at nighttime, and this is the first thing that happened. They bring whiskey, because it was like the best bus in Argentina. They bring whiskey, and our teacher is like, whatever, like he doesn't say a thing. So we were like 6 traveling. Half of us drank, and the other half didn't drink. So the ones that didn't drink gave us the whiskey. And I have to say, we had like a very good night's sleep with all of that whiskey when I was 16. And okay, then we reached the destination the next day in the morning. And our teacher, at the end of that day, we did some activities. It was like a weekend. He's like, all right, fellows, you can do whatever you want, whatever, like, but then the only thing I'm asking you is come back here tomorrow at 11 a.m. You can do whatever. And we looked at each other like, he left. We looked at each other like, he's giving us this amount of freedom. Like this is,
Yeah.
I mean, for a lot of people, it was maybe the first time they were traveling without their parents. So, and I think one of us got a bit overwhelmed by it.
Mm-hmm.
And a long story short, we actually lost him.
Lost?
So we went to a bar. This is not the most legal of stories. I don't know. This is not the most family-friendly stuff. But we went to a bar as underage people. And at some point, we lost sight of him. And this guy was like a bit of a character. It was a bit like the clown of the group.
Mm-hmm.
But we were very worried at some point because it was like late, getting late, like, 2, 3 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And he wasn't appearing. So I was the most sober, most of them. And I started looking in the bathrooms. He wasn't there. Around the place, he wasn't anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We got worried, and then the place closed down, and he's not there. So we are like, dude, like this guy just vanishes. So we decide to split, and one team was going to different hospitals or police places.
Mm-hmm.
Another team went back to the hotel to check if he was there. He wasn't there. And one, like, I stayed around the place trying to see if he was appearing, and I also called the police. So when I call the police, I give a basic description of him. He has like a particular feature in his hair. And I tell him, yes, he's 17 years of age, and blah, blah, blah. And I give like the address of the place that we were at that point. Then, I don't know, like 1 hour goes by. My friends starting to panic because he wasn't appearing in hospitals, and police had no information in the hotel. This guy was waiting. And I was just like roaming around those streets. And at some point, I see a car, and he comes, and the car stops, and I see like a hand coming out from the car, and it's my friend, and he's completely wasted. He jumps out of the car and comes like and hugs me like, "Oh, I miss you so much." And I was like shocked, like, "Where have you been?" And I was happy, but at the same time, like, this is not possible. So then he's like completely wasted. I call all of my friends to tell them that he's there, and the ones that were outside come to see us. We were going to take a cab back to the hotel, and when like 2 minutes after they come and start to talk to him, the police car shows up, and it's like, "Oh, we come here because of the missing 6-year-old."
6-year-old.
7-year-old. So they were searching for a meter, a 5'6", 7-year-old that was drunk. So it was the funniest part. Like the police were looking for a 7-year-old that was drunk as fuck. Was missing. And okay, then we spoke. The police were laughing. Like they gave us wrong information. We're happy he's fine. Like, don't do this again. And then we took our friend back to the hotel. He got like 5 showers. And the next morning, our teacher didn't even suspect that this happened. But yes, I think this is this is my story.
And where he was? Like, what did he say? Like,
his explanation does that he wanted to go to the mountains.
To the mountains?
And the mountains were quite far away, so I was like, no, I felt like going to the mountains. He's a very particular guy, but he's kind of crazy, but he's a lovely guy. So
Yeah,
I
it's
hope
fun.
he one day goes to the mountain.